Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois Season 2. So we are officially now under 1 week, less than 7 days until the premiere of Superman and Lois Season 2, which, with most Season 2s following a strong Season 1, is highly anticipated by fans and just anyone that really watches the show. Now, we actually don't know a ridiculous amount about what's coming in the second season, as the cliffhanger for Season 1 more set up like some personal conflicts and issues rather than like world-ending threats and villains or anything like that, with the trailers also like not really showing that much either, which isn't a bad thing, though we all love to see cool things in trailers. Now, in the lead up to the Season 2 premiere, the showrunner for Superman and Lois, that of course being Todd Helbing, did an interview with SFX magazine where he dived into, what's to come in the second season and how things move along after the events of the first one. Now, there actually isn't a link to this interview as it's from a magazine article, which hasn't been published online, so I had to just write down all the quotes and stuff from the interview, but all that stuff, all the quotes will be throughout the video, so don't worry, you'll visually be able to read it. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know your various thoughts, theories, predictions, just expectations heading into Season 2 of Superman and Lois. What do you want to see the most? And from what you know so far from this video and other stuff, what are you looking forward to the most as well? And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support and everything like that. So to start off, Todd Helbing revealed that the theme for this season of Superman and Lois is buried secrets, which could mean a couple of things, and that it will also test everyone like never before. But here is his direct quote in regards to all of that. We wanted to get into a lot of things that pop up from their past that we hadn't had time to explore. A lot of that stuff is going to rear its head. You are going to meet Lucy Lane, played by Jenna Dewan, who we didn't talk about at all in the first season. You learn the reason why we didn't bring up Lucy very much and where she's at in her life. The Lucy that people met on Supergirl is a little bit different. Where she's at in her life is different. That brings a lot of the history of the family to the forefront. It clearly impacts Clark and Lois's relationship, and it puts a lot of stress on them. When a family member comes back into your life, sometimes it can change the family dynamic. So I think she doesn't come in until like a few episodes in, so don't expect her in episode 1, or at least I don't think we're meant to get her in episode 1. I think TV Line or something like that said it's like a few episodes in, like maybe like episode 4 or something like that, somewhere around that. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's around that, that point of the season. But I do wonder what they mean when they say that she's different, because in season 1 of Supergirl, she was like a part of the military, like alongside her father. So I wonder if that would have still been a part of her like history, or if she went down a different path. Of course, it's post-crisis, so they can just say it changed because of crisis. And you know what? Fair enough if they want to say that. But I'm curious to see where that character has been in the past and whether it lines up with anything we've seen before. Now, next up, Todd Helbing focused on Jordan Kent and how his journey with his powers continue into Season 2 from Season 1, as well as what's just going on with Jonathan as well. Jordan obviously has powers. He's found out how strong he was mentally as a character. Jordan has a lot of ambitions to further his skill set. That's going to cause some problems with the family. Jonathan, on the other hand, has a new girlfriend and they are sophomores in high school. Jonathan is feeling pretty great about the town, but something is presented to him that takes him down the wrong path a little bit. Now, in regards to all this, I am curious to see where they take Jordan as a character. Like, does he properly become Superboy? Do his powers develop even more? Because, it says that Jordan has a lot of ambitions to further his skill set. So does he do that on his own? Does he do it with, does he do it with John Henry Eyes? Does he do it with his father? I'm not too sure. I'd be curious to see where that goes. And of course, it's very important to remember that they did bury the broken crystal of Jor-El in the backyard, like under that tree. So I wonder if there's a way that Jordan thinks that he can sort of like reanimate that and make it work and then use that to further himself, outside of like his father's, boundaries and his father's rules and stuff like that. That'd be very curious to see. Because they do say that like Jordan furthering his skill set is going to cause some problems with the family. So there could be some drama in regards to that, especially if Jordan goes on his own to do it. In regards to Jonathan, I don't know what they're going to do with him, specifically in regards to his power stuff. Obviously, he can do some other stuff as a character, and they say that, he might go, like, he's going to go down the wrong path a little bit. Like, what does that mean specifically? Is that like drugs and alcohol? Is it, hanging out with the wrong crowd? What does that mean in regards to him? Because there's some stuff that they showed in like the trailers and stuff, and it doesn't seem like Jonathan's doing anything too bad, but it might be like a few episodes in when we see that develop. But I'm very curious to see whether they keep him powerless or not. Like, he just doesn't have powers at all, and he's more like, he got Lois's human body, if you want to call it. So I wonder if they'll keep it like that, or they will delve into that. Maybe he gets some sort of like mental powers or something, rather than like the physical stuff that Jordan gets. But next up, Todd Helbing talked about Lois and how the arrival of Natalie from the alternate Earth impacts her, as well as what's going on with her in regards to her profession and the Smallville Gazette, which of course, she bought or put into last year, at the end of last season. Natalie's arrival prompts part of Lois's history that I think the fans will be surprised by. Natalie's arrival, because of how complicated that situation is, makes it very awkward on both sides. It takes a while for them both to figure out how this relationship is going to work. Now, I don't know how Natalie's going to be as a character because, we spent time with her when she was in that happy life and even when she was just with her father and everything like that. So I think that's a different Natalie we're going to see compared to the first, at least, handful of episodes to start off this season. So I'm very curious to see what her relationship with, what her relationship is with, her dad, I guess, to an extent, but also Lois and I guess her quote unquote brothers, if you want to call them, in Jonathan and Jordan, because we know from a promo image that they released for episode 1, it looks like she's going to school. I'm not too sure. I'd assume she's older. I'm not too sure how old she would be compared to them, or whether they're just going to make them the same age so they're in the same classes and stuff like that, and whether they, hang out with each other or not. So I'm very curious to see what they do with Natalie, because, if it's a lot of, just, what's the word? Just sort of being a drag, if you want to call it. Some people might not like it, but as long as the story's there, I'm 100% happy with it, because I think you can understand what Natalie would be going through as well as Lois. And in regards to the Smallville Gazette and Lois, this is what Todd Helbing had to say. From the onset, Chrissy and Lois are trying to figure out how to make the newspaper work. They are trying to expand. There's a lot of business they need to attend to. Chrissy has been running the paper by herself, so she has her own ways of how to manage, and Lois clearly has an opinion about everything. To go back to things in their past, a story comes to the forefront which causes a lot of tension between the two of them. The same way Morgan Edge was Lois's villain, it's sort of the setup for her season 2 villain. Now in regards to Lois's villain, we'll talk about that in a bit. I don't know if this Chrissy and Lois tension will go on for too long. I think it might just be an entry point to the season before they start working together in a more, calm and managed and friendly way. I think it might just be something to, kick off the season, just because Lois is obviously dealing with some personal stuff that's probably keeping her away from the Gazette and adding some stress to that. Now, Todd Helbing says that Clark is balancing coaching football, running the Kent farm, and will actually get pulled back into being a reporter in season 2. I'd assume that's maybe because he's needed for the Gazette. I'm not too sure. But of course, there is the Superman stuff as well. Duh. And that epic Superman story, to quote Todd Helbing, kicks off in the premiere. The fans are going to know the path we are going down really quickly. In a really good way, the Superman issue he has is driving the issues he has as a dad. This is a particular villain that the more I talk about, the more people are going to figure out who it is, but Superman is dealing with an enemy that is going to be a massive headache for him. There are multiple villains really, both villains affect Clark and Lois personally. We start out with one villain that is really more Superman while setting up the Lois villain. They are not working together, but they hand off in a cool way this season. One of them comes to the forefront and in a lot of ways is more powerful than the other one. It will take the whole team in a different way than last year to stop this person. So yeah, in regards to all of this, who are the villains? Now, just in regards to episode 1, I just want to chuck something out there that a lot of people are talking about, especially over the past 24 hours pretty much, or 24 to 48 hours from when this video will come out. And there's a solid theory out there that Superman will fight Mongol, or Mongol, however you want to pronounce it. I'm going to say Mongol because that's how I pronounce it. In episode 1, it's going to be an intro battle that has them cross the multiverse briefly, which then ties into the premiere from Naomi as Superman is fighting Mongol in the premiere for that. We know that's happening in the Naomi premiere, and it's sort of the introduction of just superheroes in that world. And Naomi premieres after episode 1 of Superman and Lois, season 2. I'm not going to say that's going to happen because that's a big stretch, but if this was planned in advance, they were always going to have Naomi premiere after Superman and Lois at the beginning. They could have easily done this. The issue with this is that the Naomi, pilot was filmed just under a year ago. That's a long way to plan in advance. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I think it's a solid theory, because usually with season 2s and with season 2, 3, 4, and 5 and all these shows, a lot of them usually start with an action sequence. That's how a lot of them start, or the first 5 minutes is some sort of action sequence and high tempo thing to kick off the season. So, it would fit, because seeing it's Superman and Lois season 2 that they start off with something like that, but I don't know if they would go that far. But Let's wait and find out. Then again, they could have had it that happened in. They filmed that stuff for Naomi, and they thought, well, hold on, we can work this into the beginning of Superman and Lois and make it make sense. I'm not too sure. We'll have to wait and see, but there's a theory that people have chucked out there. But in regards to the villains of this season of Superman and Lois, for the longer runs, not just trying to cross over with shows, a lot of people think we are seeing a take on the Captain Atom project arc from the comics, which then leads to Major Force being created, which has ties to Project 7734 from the comics, which we of course saw in season 1. And also there's some sort of evidence to back it up, as in the promo images that were released for episode 1 for this season of Superman and Lois, we have these people behind the new character and sort of head of the DoD, that being Lieutenant Mitch Anderson, with these like Superman style jackets, who, you know, these people could be given like powers via leftover X-Kryptonite, you know, because not everyone that was affected by X-Kryptonite became like a host for a Kryptonian, like Tag Harris in season 1. He just got powers, he just couldn't control them, and then they were able to sort of control him a bit. So we could see the exact same thing happen with these people, and they just get given certain powers, whether it's super speed, whether it's to mimic Superman to an extent, whether it's just to fly, but they have some sort of durability so they don't die if they get knocked to the ground or something. And it's very, 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 very easy to think that one or more of these people could go rogue as well and be villains. You know, with one of them maybe becoming someone like Major Force, or just becoming a iteration of Major Force for the show. Or it could be Lieutenant Mitch Anderson himself, who becomes the powered, you know, villain. And all these test subjects that we have seen with these Superman jackets and stuff, you know, they're just the test subjects, and he just uses them until he feels it's time to get powers. He feels it's safe and it's the right time for him to juice up or something, and becomes, you know, corrupt with power and becomes this villain. So I think that's a solid thing to go off, and it wouldn't surprise me too much if they go down that route, because I don't know if Project 7734 would just be shut off. I'm sure when someone takes over the DoD, that they'll get a hint of that and go, that's pretty interesting. Why don't we, you know, reopen that? In regards to the Lois villain, people are saying Lex Luthor. I think it might be too soon to bring Lex Luthor back into a show in the Arrowverse, and he's in. If they go with the Supergirl canon, he's in the Phantom Zone. Then again, they could just easily change that. I don't know if they'll use Lex Luthor. I think people just want that rather than there's any sort of logic around it. But it could easily just be another unsuspecting customer like we had with Morgan Edge. It's hard to tell at this point. I think we might have to wait a bit to get into it. But I think episode 1 might give us a hint as to what's going on with the Superman villain more than the Lois villain. And everything that's said there sort of hints at the Lois villains towards the end of the season or the back half, rather than anything too early. Lois is dealing with other stuff at the beginning of the season, that, you know, all the personal stuff, rather than any sort of villainous, you know, activities. And the last thing I want to go over is actually one of the writers for Superman and Lois sent this tweet out, and it sort of maybe lines up with either, you know, the villain being heavily presented straight away in episode 1 for this season, or maybe even that Mongol theory for Naomi potentially being a thing. But this is Bitter Script Reader, and you might think, oh, this is a troll account. Not that they're a legitimate writer for Superman and Lois. They wrote multiple episodes in season 1, but they wrote, 1 week from tonight, I'm going to advise any Superman and Lois fans who can't watch our premiere live to stay off Twitter so they don't see certain names trending. Obviously, this wouldn't mean Superman, Lois, Clark, Jordan, Jonathan, you know, John Henry Irons, Steele, Natalie. None of that. Who are they talking about? And what would make something trend? It'd have to be a character, a certain character and big character, and a surprising character to show up. Who could it be? Are they actually legitimately talking about Lex Luthor? Are they talking about a character from the Arrowverse from the past that's going to show up? We'd heard that there's going to be more connectivity with the Arrowverse to Superman and Lois this season. So maybe there's a cameo, if not guest appearance, from someone else from the Arrowverse that will get people excited. I don't know what it's going to be. The thing is that there have been screeners sent out for this episode like a month. People got them like a month ago, and I think another batch of people got them like 2 weeks ago or something like that. So this hasn't been spoiled yet. So I wonder who it could be and who this, you know, who the writer, you know, Bitter Script Reader is referring to here. I'm curious now. I'm very curious, and I can't wait to see. I'm not saying it's going to be like an Ezra Miller type cameo, but if it's going to force something to trend, it must be pretty surprising and, you know, exciting for fans. But yeah, of course, I'm looking forward to Superman and Lois season 2. I think most of us that enjoyed season 1, if just not watched season 1, are looking forward to what they have to bring in season 2. And yeah, of course, I'll have my review out pretty soon after episode 1 comes out. So of course, keep your eyes out for that. But of course, if you enjoyed the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions on everything we went over. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.